Hey, Meoni here, and welcome back to another new player guide. Perhaps you're wanting to start the game out. I see a lot of new players, obviously with the new Xbox version, etc. Welcome to the game if you're just starting out. One of the first things that I didn't understand when I first started this game is the quest system and the difference between the different icons and how many quests there were and all this. Let's go through this together. So there are 7 major types of quest in the game. There are subcategories of those, but there are 7 types that you will see in the game. The first of which, when you log on into the game, is actually the main scenario quest line, otherwise known as the MSQ. This is shown by the exclamation mark inside of a meteor-shaped logo, a big spiky thing. This signifies the storyline that starts from level 1 and goes all the way up currently to level 90. It's obviously going to go to level 100 when the level cap increases in Dawn Trail, the latest expansion coming out this summer 2024. So of course this is your bread and butter. This unlocks everything from airship travel around the world, Grand Company access, which has a lot of other features locked behind it, your first mount in the game, your chocobo, as well as many dungeons, trials, rewards, storyline, etc. You also need to do the MSQ of a previous expansion to reach the next expansion. It follows on. They definitely pride themselves on the storyline being the main focus of Final Fantasy XIV, as well additionally with all of the other content that attaches to that. So something that happens at level 30 might be referred to at level 90. This is a reason I would also vote against people who are new to the game using any form of skip. On the cash shop, the Final Fantasy XIV online store, for real money you can purchase various skips, one of which is a level skip to level 80 at the moment for a class or job, and also a skip of the storyline to level 80 storyline in Shadowbringers. These, in my opinion, are best used for future characters if you make them on other servers or something like that. Maybe you want to play with someone else after you have done this on your first character and gone through it on your own. Otherwise, a lot of context for a lot of the situations, places, locations, dungeons, characters will not make any sense to you and you will get less from the game. So that would be my advice to you, is take it at your pace, however you want to take it, and enjoy what you see on the screen. And definitely some people will tell you that stick with it, this particular expansion gets better. And I don't know, most likely they're right, but just, take it for your own, absorb it for yourself. Enjoy this. It is probably one of the rarest things on the planet as an MMORPG that prides itself on storyline and continuous storyline, unlike certain other games. The other type of quest that you will see is a simple exclamation mark in a speech bubble. This is known as a just generic side quest. These do not necessarily have nothing locked behind them. Something I learnt very early on is not just plus quests, as you will see later, that unlock things. Sometimes side quests will give you rewards as well. These are also used for seasonal events, so sometimes you'll have an exclamation mark in a speech bubble for a seasonal event. Recently we had Valention's Day, which is Valentine's Day in Final Fantasy XIV, that gave an emote. It didn't have a plus on it, it was a simple side quest marker. There are other types of side quests that are more permanent, and most likely those will give you storyline for side characters, guild, items, and of course, for the most part, EXP. My main concern with this is the advice to give you that you shouldn't necessarily do all of the side quests the first time through on just one class. I would say that you would very easily over level for your level, for the level required for expansions and content if you did every single quest in the game as you went. It is always best to try out other jobs and other classes if you're used to that system, because of course in this game on Final Fantasy XIV you can have every single class and job in the entire game on just one character. It is less likely in this game then that people will create alternate characters on servers than it is for them to just stick on one character and just switch jobs when they like on the fly. There are no penalties to do so, and you're actively encouraged and rewarded for doing so at the end of the game, so definitely bear that in mind. But yeah, side story quests, side quests in general, doesn't mean that there's nothing locked behind them, because most of the time there is, but mostly you will find storyline, EXP, and guild. So then we come on to plus quests. Now, plus quests are probably one of the most important types of quests in the game, specifically for major content unlocks, as well as side content unlocks, and anything you can imagine that isn't covered by the main storyline. My advice to you is to do the plus quests when you see them as you go through the game. The reason I say this is, agreeably, you won't be able to necessarily do all of them as soon as you see them, but a lot of these are unlocked at level 30, and every major expansion, there's new plus quests added, there are new features added, and there is, over 10 years at this point of extra content added to the game. This includes other leveling formats such as Palace of the Dead and the Deep Dungeon series, which presumably you might know nothing about at the moment, but that's unlocked through a plus quest. So plus quests feature class quests, job quests, role quests, crafting related quests such as a crystalline mean and studium, feature quests for side story instances that are outside of just the main storyline. It also unlocks PvP, Grand Company quests, the hunt. So there's treasure. There's obviously hunt marks in the game where you take up a hunt bill and you find a monster of different types. Location quests. There is obviously glamour locked behind these quests. Customization, fashion accessories, ether currents at the end game to allow you to fly in some of the end game areas, miscellaneous quests, you name it. Plus quests are probably, outside of the MSQ, the most important thing that you could do when you level through. My biggest regret when I first started playing Final Fantasy XIV in A Realm Reborn was that I skipped past a lot of the plus quests, forgot where they were, and ended up having to come back later and do a whole chain of them. It would have been much easier if I had just done them when I saw them. That's my opinion, but again, just make sure you get them done. There are so many things, you'll be like, wait, that's a thing in this game? And it's like, well, it was unlocked through a plus quest. So there we go. If you have a plus on a speech bubble, that's what they are. Another scene that you might see is maybe one of these quests, whatever type it might be. It could be any of these. They have the ability to become red as well. If you ever see this on any of the icons, including plus quests, MSQ, side quests, essentially there is a reason that you cannot do that. It's basically saying you cannot do this. If you click on this person, usually a little list will come up telling you exactly what you need to do to unlock that particular quest. It will say further progress in storyline required, or level requirement, level 50, or whatever it might be. So you might see these quests appear and they might be red, and that's why. So bear that in mind in case you're wondering, because when I first saw a red quest I was like, why is it red? But it means no, there's something you're missing. The next type then is repeatable quests. So these will have a speech bubble with like a 2 arrows circling around. It's literally meaning repeat, to repeat the quest. These are basically not necessarily always dailies, which you might know from other games, but they are repeatable, and usually those come with the daily tribes. So we have these tribal quests in the game. They used to be called beast tribes. A lot of that stuff was repeatable. Every day you could do an allocation of so many quests, and then the next day at reset you would come and do more quests, and you'd have like a reputation bar, and items, glamour, mounts would unlock when you reach the next reputation, things like that. So if you see repeatable quests, it is most likely something that you will be required to do repeatedly over the course of time that will reward you with something overall. It isn't always necessarily just the tribal quests, but that's where you will most likely see those. Something else you will see is a combination of a plus quest and a repeatable quest. So you'll see a plus on a speech bubble with the repeatable circle in the center with the arrows rotating around each other. Repeatable feature quests then actually unlock various features in the game over time, right? So these can be completed multiple times with some limitations. These are mostly used for relic weapons and things like that. So in the game we have something that, I don't know, in another game you might see these as a legendary weapon. In this game we have relics. So these are usually, at this point, the old ones are just glamour, right? They are cool things that look cool. The stats on them are cool for the level bracket, but most of them are old. We do have relics right now, the Mandeville series currently, but we're coming towards the end of the expansion, and those will just be, continuously acquired in the future just because of their looks. So if you want to do a relic weapon, There are basically 6 different types of relic weapon in the game, 6 different chains. There will presumably be a 7th chain of a new weapon in Dawn Trail as well. These don't chain together necessarily. However, the Zodiac weapons and Anima weapons did chain together. But yeah, that was a very unique example. But yeah, if you see the plus quest with a circle, the 2 arrows repeating, that's usually relic weapons. I don't remember if I've seen that elsewhere. Obviously, the Splendorous tools like crafted weapons, stuff like that. But for the most part, that's where you will see that. And then the last one that I can think of at the minute is Levequests. This is another icon. So Levequests are very interesting because a lot of people probably didn't even know what they were when they first started playing the game, including myself. They were like, what is this? So basically they are repeatable quests, right? But they require these things called leave allowances. If you look in your journal, if you press J or you access your quest log, you will see at the bottom there is an amount of allowances. Once you've unlocked the Levequest system through a plus quest, actually early on in the game, you should see it when you go through the game, you will see that there's a leave allowances. This gives you the amount of times that you can do this specific type of quest. If you wait a while, this will actually go to a maximum of 100 attempts. For example, in my situation, I can do 100 of these leaves. Now, there are different types of leave quest. Essentially, we've got Battlecraft, so that's your typical go kill 5 monsters over there. That's that type of quest. Tradecraft leave quests, which are for leveling your Disciple of Hand, and of course Fieldcraft leave quests, which are for Disciple of Land. So Disciple of Hand is crafting, Disciple of Land is gathering, if you want to know the difference between those. But yes, so essentially what you would do, I'll give you an example of a Battlecraft leave quest. You pick that up from the leave person. These all obviously rotate through every time you pick them up, and then you go onto your journal and you press initiate on there. You will be asked a difficulty slider sometimes. Always set that to 0 unless you want a challenge, in which case you actually get rewarded more EXP if you set that higher, but of course it is more difficult, and if you are lower level that might be a bit of a trick sort of to actually complete. But that's what you do. Once you initiate those, you must then go to the location on the map that's obviously shown in a circle, and then do the objective. It will tell you what to do on the right side of the screen with the actual, like a duty text, essentially. Like, oh, you must find the missing man that's hidden behind, like a demon that's hiding in plain sight as one of these creatures, and you kill the creatures, and then you get this like meat, and then you lure them out, that kind of stuff. There are all sorts of different types of quests locked behind those, but that's what a leave quest is without going into too much detail. Optional side stuff, really useful for leveling crafters and gatherers in my opinion. Less so these days for battle stuff, for the combat jobs and classes, because there's so many other ways of doing that. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the different types of quests in the game I can think of. If you can think of others, feel free to leave obviously the comment below and let me know. But of course, different types and subtypes of these might exist, but my main advice to you is your MSQ with the exclamation mark and the meteor logo is your must do, and then plus quests, in my opinion, you should do as you see them. But there we go. And then everything else is totally up to you. Take your time through the game if you're a new player. Don't let anybody rush this. I know you might want to play with your friends at endgame. Don't buy a boost. Enjoy the game. You will regret it if you do. Trust me. Trust me. You need to just enjoy yourself, take it at your pace, and know that, yes, it does actually get better the further you go, because that's how story writing and content design works. You know, if you do this in the first year of making a game, obviously it's not going to be comparable to a developer that's been working 10 years on a game. So the further you go through, you will get a much greater variety of content. The duties get more expansive, the storyline gets more budget. It's great. Absolutely great. Anyway, much love. Hopefully that helped someone out there, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.